into those ring ropes. The referee calls for the break. Sullivan very quickly caught him on the break. And it's Kern going for the abdominal stretch. No, sir. Kern went for that abdominal stretch but was hurdled outside the ring. The count is on, and Kern coming up the champion, and Sullivan offering the same hand, and Kern getting set, moves back into the ring. Ooh! Sullivan caught him really before he was all the way inside the ring. Sullivan exploded on Kern. We've got a new champion. We have got a new champion. Kevin Sullivan caught Steve Kern before he was all the way through those ropes. And we do have, in fact, a new champion. Steve Kern caught with an inside cradle, a count of 3. And so Kevin Sullivan has won the National Television Championship. I want to take a moment right now to talk to Steve Kern because, very frankly, Steve, it was difficult to tell, but obviously Kevin, either in his eagerness or didn't know that you weren't all the way through those ropes, but he definitely caught you before you got all the way through the ropes.
That may be what it looked like to you, Gordon. But I've known Kevin Sullivan a long time, and I never in my life expected something like that. I'd expected out of a lot of men, but not out of Kevin Sullivan. To tell you the truth, I'm shocked. I'm really surprised. You know, Kevin Sullivan and I go back a long time, and ever since we started, Kevin's always wanted to be number one, just like anybody else. But I've never seen him stab anybody in the back, and I've never seen him shortcut like that. Kevin Sullivan's apparently got some kind of ego problem, and he's using me for a stepping stone because he knows I'm his friend, and I'm willing to stick out my hand and shake his hand any time. But I happen to know, Kevin Sullivan, that I've got you in other towns this week, and I'm not going to be a sucker like I was on national TV because I consider myself a sucker. I was a sucker to step through them ropes and not keep my eye on you like I do every other man I face. But that's because I had confidence in a friendship, and I figured it'd be a scientific match. I even got out here and stated before, at the beginning of the show, that whoever won this match would be the national TV champion, and he'd be the man. He'd be the best man. But I'm retracting that statement because I didn't think it took a best man to beat me like that. I know you beat me. You pinned my shoulders to the mat. But you had to sucker me. You had to sucker me. You had to try to make a fool out of me on TV. Well, I'm no fool, Kevin Sullivan. And if that's the way you want to get in the ring, then I'll be ready for you next time. Next time I step in the ring with you, there won't be no shaking hands, brother.
And you know, this is supposed to be guest commentation today. Who do you send out? You send out the Twiddly-Dee and Twiddly-Dum, Steve-O and Steve Kern. They don't have to be talking about my matches. You do a very good job to talk about how good I am. And you know something? I want to show you how most of the country's thinking now. Most of the country is glad that they have a national TV champion to look up to. Rolling Stone magazine has me on the cover, and it didn't take me any hit records to do it. It didn't take me a song. Rolling Stone has me on the cover of this issue's magazine. So let me say this, Gordon. You know, there's a small but vocal minority out here that doesn't like me because they don't have any class. They don't have any class. Gordon, as you can see, he's dressed up. I am your national TV champion. All I can tell you is this. When you come to see me, start showing a little class, like Gordon right here.
Hey, I'll tell you what.
There's another sign of some illiterates yelling for a jerk.
Well, there is a gentleman that you're after that I happen to know about. I'm referring, of course, to Mr. USA Tony Atlas. I know that you want that Georgia heavyweight champion.
Gordon, as everybody knows here, I've held every belt in this area except one. Only one has eluded me because everybody else has been a coward to put it up. I got to give Tony Atlas a lot of credit. It takes a big man to go up against me.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's listen first to these comments from Tony Atlas.
Kevin Sullivan, you always talk about you going to be somebody's friend. You pat me on the back and come to the gym with me and everything. You talk about you my friend. You talk about you want me to help you. Well, I took the time out to help you, Kevin Sullivan. Look what kind of person you turn out to be. You turn on your best friend, Steve Kerr, and now you don't turn on your best friend, Tony Atlas. You want my belt, Sullivan? Come on and get the belt, Sullivan. I'm going to be at the Omni, brother. I'm going to make a special trip at the Omni. If you think you man enough to take my belt away, come after the title, Kevin Sullivan.
Tony Atlas, Georgia heavyweight champion.
Tony Atlas, one thing. The only thing I ever did by beating Steve Kern was putting myself up in life. And Tony, you should know something better than that. The only thing I can say is I'm going to get a big Christmas present come Christmas Day in the Army. Tony, you and I go back a long way. I won the championship when we were partners, and you lost it when we lost the title. So, Tony Atlas, you've been a big man around here, and you've been a big man to come and give me a chance at the title. So, Tony, what I'm going to tell you, listen real clear. We were once friends, and to me, I won't hurt you. All I'm going to do is give you a wrestling lesson, take the belt, and I won't hurt you, Tony. You can be sure of that.
5 pounds. It's me defending my title against Kevin Sullivan, and due to the fact that Steve Kern was the man mainly responsible for me still having this Georgia belt. You know, like too long ago, Kevin Sullivan tried some underhanded stuff in order to get the Georgia belt. And Steve Kern came to my rescue, so I want him here to review this video with me.
Fair enough. I'll tell you what, then. Let's go back to the Omni and Christmas Day night, and we'll watch this Georgia Heavyweight Championship title defense. Tony Atlas defending against Kevin Sullivan.
Well, you see, right here it is. I trust Kevin through the whole match. I went in. I was on it thinking about wrestling the man, but for some reason or another, Steve Kern kind of knew what kind of man Kevin Sullivan was, and he stood here and he watched pretty much of this whole match. And see, here I just couldn't take no more. I just was standing here thinking out to now, Tony, why in the world are you going right on this man? This man, he ain't thinking nowhere in the world about being nice to you. So I just decided to try to scramble his brain in the best way I knew how. That's with this Africa football. Steve, you got any comments you'd like to add to this?
Well, I think he's doing a pretty good job. You can see here Tony's got Kevin going real good. But I've been wrestling Kevin every once in a while. And, you know, I just can't believe the change in the man. But I knew what to expect, so I was standing there watching the whole thing because I've been watching every one of Sullivan's matches.
Sullivan in desperation here, of course, when he found that sleeper hold applied, got to the ring ropes, just barely in time. Once again, you're back to a side headlock. He fires you up. You catch him with a good shoulder smash. The referee knocked aside.
In the way at this point, and I actually did hit the referee there. And there you see Kevin Sullivan. He dropped my pride and joy and everything across the rope. I don't know what to say at this point, but I knew I was in a lot of pain. The pain feel like it was going up my spine and stuff. You know, and here he gonna do the same thing again to me. You know, trying to really, you know, put me in the most pain as possible. And Steve, lucky for me, he was just here watching all this. And later on in this film, you will see where Kevin Sullivan had to stoop to the lowest tactics possible in professional wrestling in order to attain the Georgia belt.
Which, of course, he did not do. A near fall at that point. Referee back, and now what is he doing here, Steve?
Yeah, he's got something there, Gordon. You know, I could see that all the way from the back of the building. I saw where he pulled something out of his tights. And I figured that Tony was in trouble there. I thought he was going to get beat, but I've made it to the ring, and you see right there where I pulled it right out of his boot. Now he's looking for it. He realizes he doesn't have his equalizer. That's because I'm standing outside holding it.
Yeah, there goes Steve right there. See, Kevin, he forgot all. He's so busy trying to get that whatever he had to hit me with. He forgot all about. He's supposed to be wrestling me. So I just slid right on there and pinned him just to get it all over with real quick. Somebody congratulate Steve, because it wasn't for him, Kevin would have got away with doing something dishonoring the beauty like the Freebirds and a lot of other wrestlers did in the past, and all to attain.
15-minute time limit with the National Television Championship at stake.
This is no ordinary match, quite obviously, because they dislike each other intensely, and they're just kind of giving up wrestling, and they're just going for what they can get just to win the match. If they're not careful, they both get disqualified. That's the way it's going, because there's a feeling in the match. You can feel it. Even standing here, Gordon, you can feel there's something wrong in that.
Now, Kern having his problems trying to come out of it now, and Sullivan, that one came from the backyard, uncorked it all the way. Kern fires.
Sorry, Gordon. When he's playing his spirit, when the match is getting away from Sullivan, he reverts back to that punching.
And it is turned now. A good forearm, another forearm to the side of the head that staggers Sullivan. And the national television champion trying to leave the ring, and Kern brings him back in, rocks him with another forearm, rocks him with another forearm. Again, Sullivan tries to leave, and Kern catches him. Kern catches him with another good solid forearm. And it's Sullivan down. And Steve Kern going after that national television championship. And he's got Sullivan, the national TV champion, in trouble. Kern moving extremely well. Batters him. Kern caught him, another good forearm, and it's Sullivan back to the canvas, and Steve Kern turning the tide in this situation.
Escaped the ring. 3 times he went from the ring. Especially the beam bush. No, he missed the beam bush and went for that shoulder hold. Yeah, shoulder grip.
Coming up with that atomic knee drop, and Sullivan caught with that atomic knee drop, and it's...
It looked to me as though Sullivan deliberately tried to get him Kern disqualified. To me, he threw himself over the top. It looked like it.
Well, now the referee, normally anytime a competitor goes over the top rope, that becomes an automatic disqualification. But a judgment call on the part of the referee, Kern disqualified. Sullivan retains his...
A little bit further, a little bit later on. Right now, I want to take a moment to talk to Kevin Sullivan, the man who's known as the Boston Battler.
Well, Gordon, thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to be out here with the #1 sportscaster in the world today, the most articulate man in the area, and probably the most well-dressed, Gordon.
Well, thank you very much. That's very nice. Now, there's
See what I mean? There's another whiner, crybaby. Why don't you leave? It's my time to talk. Go home and cry. You know, Gordon, you know, I'm out here to talk. I'm not out here to get in a physical thing with him, because if I wanted to slap your face, I would. Yeah, you want to get a fine. Get away. So what I'm talking about, Gordon, is, you know, there's been a whole situation. I have a lot going for me that these other guys don't have. I have my own personal trainer, Doc Nailey. I have my own nutritionist, John Brown. I have my own rock and roll group, the Southside Band. I have everything behind me. That is why on television today, I don't care who has that television belt, I am still the rightful champion, and I'm still the greatest wrestler to appear on TV, as you have said time and time again.
May I just ask you a couple of other questions? Of course, you are from Boston. You're known as the Boston Battler. A lot of people are curious to know, what are the rules and regulations concerning a Boston street fight?
Well, the rules concerning a Boston street fight, if you would ask Austin Idol, if you ask Mark Lewin, if you ask Dennis Condrey, and if you ask Steve-O, they know the rules perfectly because they fell at my feet. The rules are that you come dressed any way you want to. I usually go in the ring just like this: Levi's, my belt, and my cowboy boots. There's no stopping for cuts and blood. There's anything goes. That means if a man chokes a man, that's all right. You can go out and hit a man with anything, a chair, a belt, anything goes. What this is, Gordon, this is the ultimate answer to solving all problems. When I was a kid growing up at home, we didn't have people coming here like Steve-O or Steve Kern whining that they lost something. If you thought you lost something, you went up and smacked someone in the side of the head, and it was right there. It was right there. It was figured out right in the street who was the better man. But because I've had problems with guys like Steve Kern, I just want to say this: Steve Kern, whoever I'm talking to, you don't have a chance against me in a Boston street fight, because you know Gordon, as well as the people in this area, as well as the people that watch this program throughout the country. Nobody has ever beaten me in a Boston street fight, and nobody ever will.
I noticed that you have picked up a lot of muscular definition and conformation. You must be working out on a very, very regular basis.
Gordon, thank you very much. I noticed that you noticed, and I've heard your nice comments about that. Gordon, I train harder than any wrestler today in this country. I go to the gym 6 days a week. I'm going to leave today and go squat. I'm into a real hard training regimen. I intend to stay that way because this is the toughest business there is.
There's no question about that. And on February 8th at the Omni, it's going to be a Boston street fight, you and Steve Kern.
You know, this does me good because I don't care if it's the Omni, Columbus, Ohio, or Chattanooga, Kern. All I want you to do is when you start putting on your cowboy boots or anything you want to put on, remember, nobody has ever beaten Kevin Sullivan in a Boston street fight match. And Punk, you're not going to be the first one because I am king of the Boston street fight matches, and I'm going to show you why.
Should be